Some people may not agree with me on this, but if you or your friends avoid conflict, it will ruin your life. Let me explain. I had a friend a long time ago that I never really liked, and he was only really around because I was young and the group dynamic made him not leave. And the reason I didn't like him was because he would always take the path of least resistance, no matter the damage it would cause to him or anybody else. Because I guess in his head he thought upsetting no one was better than upsetting someone, but in reality it just did more damage. But it got to the point where there was this huge fight in our group and it divided the group into two. And instead of backing us, he decided to throw us under the bus so he didn't have to upset anybody. And this one decision alone is why I don't talk to about half my old friends anymore. But what he really didn't take into account was the fact that he did two things. Because he threw us under the bus, none of us trusted him anymore and removed him out of our lives. And two, the group he was trying not to upset thought that he was still on our side, so they don't talk to him anymore. So by trying to avoid conflict, he not only managed to lose us, but the whole group in one go, instead of just backing one side and growing closer to those people. There's a quote that's been proven again and again in my life that goes, "A man who stands for nothing will fall for anything." And I will talk about more examples, but for now I just want you to linger on this thought. How can somebody trust you if they don't know anything about you? And how can you trust somebody else if you don't know anything about them? And I'm not talking about what their favorite color is or they really like to eat ramen after a busy shift on a Friday. I'm talking about what do they stand for? What do they believe in? What do they hate other people doing? What do they want in life? And if you have a friend like this that you don't know anything about, or you are this person, you really need to think carefully about the next steps in your life. Firstly, if you have a friend like this, you need to really consider if you actually want that friend around. And before everybody tells me I'm mean and some people are just not assertive and don't like conflict, no, I'm going to give you two reasons why it is absolutely awful to have these people around. The first point, which is arguably the most important, is you need friends that will disagree with you, because having that conflict keeps you in check and keeps you thinking about your own behavior, and you do the same back to them. If you have yes men all the time around you that tell you every action you take is perfect 100% of the time, you'll turn into, for example, Kanye West. Kanye West is surrounded by yes men all the time, and you can see it in his documentary on Netflix. And what it's done, it's made him think that he's this kind of untouchable god, when in reality, he's a lost genius that all the people around him are too scared to tell him no. When you get in this position, it's really hard to act logically, and you end up doing stuff that you wouldn't usually do because everybody around you is telling you it's okay, even if they secretly think it's not. And it can be really toxic for your own growth if you only have yes men around, because you can't grow, you can't have arguments with people, and you can't develop actual relationships. So you start resenting people anyway and think everybody's out for you. By having people you can bounce ideas off and people that will give you different opinions, it really makes you think about what you actually want in life and how you can grow better. Because at the end of the day, we all learn throughout our whole lives, and people's opinions are sometimes better than our own. So having that difference of opinion actually makes everybody grow so much better. The second point isn't as devastating to your own growth and success, but it is still very important. This will happen to you if you let enough time pass with a friend that avoids conflict. What will happen is you'll get into an argument with them or somebody else, and they'll be in the crossfire. And if you're not the path of least resistance, they'll abandon you without a second thought. And then when they realize they've made a mistake, they'll come crawling back. They don't have any sort of backbone and they can't make their own opinions. So they will always gravitate towards the people who they're safest with, which is awful because you don't want these people around, because at any moment they could jump ship. And is that even a friend? Like, really think about that. Having these people in your life will only make your life worse, especially if you're watching this channel and you're like me and want to be better every day. You will never grow with these people, and what makes it worse is people outside of your group will see this person who is very against confrontation, and they'll see you associate with them, which in itself makes you look less assertive and less trustworthy, which is worse for you and worse for them. Now, let's spin it on its head. Let's say you are the one that can't do conflict. If you avoid conflict, what does this mean for you? If you have issues in your life around relationships, work, family, and you let them slide, even if it's like a very small thing, avoiding conflict in that moment may seem like the right course of action because it's not worth getting in an argument about, because it's so minimal. But imagine you do that for everything you don't like in a year, and let's say that's 1,000 little things that are adding up that you don't like, but you never tell anybody about it. What happens is you get resentful because all of these little things are adding up and it's making you increasingly unhappy, but you're not telling anybody about it and you're not trying to do anything because you're keeping the peace. And what ends up happening is there'll be a tipping point where you'll break and you'll lash out at these people even though they haven't done anything wrong because you haven't told them. And then you can't explain yourself because the thing you're getting annoyed about is so small that it seems over dramatic. This will ruin so many relationships in your life, so you really need to cut it at its root and just say what's annoying you. Even if you don't win the argument, just standing up for yourself and having a little bit of respect for yourself and asking people to change a little bit because you don't like it will make you so much better in the long run. Secondly, not dealing with confrontation makes people step on you all the time. If you let people get their way with anything, you basically become a side character in your own life. You're just following people around, scared that you might upset their feelings, and never actually say what you want. You always do what other people want to do. And this, plus the build-up of all the things that make you resent other people, will either leave you angry with the world or super depressed. And it's such an easy thing to fix. You just have to be assertive, even if you hate doing it. So I really want anybody coming this far in the video to really have a hard look at themselves and see if there's anything that they're just letting slide that they shouldn't. Because at the end of the day, standing up for yourself will only make things better. Because people want that. People want different opinions, and nobody's going to get mad at you for having your own opinion. I will just do a quick counterpoint though, and I'm not saying you have to critique and argue with people 24/7, because that is not good conflict. Good conflict is when you stand up for things that actually annoy you, not when you're looking for an argument. That will just lead to even more relationships ruined. But anyway, I hope you've learned something from this video. If you have any questions about conflict, leave them in the comments. And if this applies to you, I'd really like to know. I hope it helped. But anyway, as always, thank you for watching the video. Subscribe if you like videos like this. And always improve yourself one step a day.